Watch this tempo. Ready?
No mercy.
18-point gourd, lads. Okay, 2 points off council. But yo, what's going on? It's Patch Day. I've had such a blast so far. As you can see, I've got 5 decks so far. But we're starting off today with the Scioa'Tael Mystic Echo deck. I believe this is incredibly strong from the few games I've played with it. So it's using the Ethne Evolution card, which essentially synergizes with special cards and nature cards. So we've got the Symbiosis tag here. Now, just to very briefly explain Symbiosis, whenever you play a nature card, spawn a Wandering Trent on a random allied row and set its power equal to the number of units of Symbiosis you control. So if you've got 1 Symbiosis card on the board, every time you play a nature card, it's going to spawn a 1 Strength Trent, basically. Okay, if you've got 2 Symbiosis cards, it's going to spawn a 2 Strength Trent. So it adds on basically points to each of your nature cards, such as Dryad's Crest, Tempering, Circle of Life, Nature's Rebuke. That's one thing you do, and that's a really nice round 3 play. Obviously, we've then got the boy Gord, who is just hopefully going to come in as that big finishing play that you often see in Gord decks. And the Ethne play in round 3 has a lot of potential, but you've also got a lot of other plays that can get you so many points. We are surprisingly using Waters of Broccolon. Obviously, Harmony got this big nerf, and Waters of Broccolon is quite anti-synergistic with your Symbiosis cards, but this card can just get you an awful lot of points. Let's say I lead with Waters of Broccolon, and I play an Abandoned Girl. She comes in as a human, right? And then I can use her order to swap into a young Dryad, which is getting me that Symbiosis. And then I could play her again. She's a human again. Only human on the board because she's transformed. The other one's transformed into a Dryad. So it's going to proc that Harmony again. So just off this card alone, you can get a lot of points off of your Waters of Broccolon. And this is a Symbiosis card as well for just 4 provisions. This card is crazy, crazy good. Similarly, we have got one other human in Vrexinet, who I was lucky enough to pack in a premium. This card is a Devotion card, which we are using. He boosts a Dryad in your hand by 2, and he spawns a young Dryad, so more Symbiosis, but also a nice bit of hand buff. And hand buff in this deck is proving to be incredibly powerful, because what you're normally going to do on round 1, especially if you're going first, you're going to get Dunker down. This card is pretty broken in my opinion. It is incredibly strong because it's not row-locked. It's melee row-locked of damaging a unit, but the row-lock does not count for the boosting a random Scioa'Tael unit in your hand. So if you can give this a tactical advantage, if you could just have this down on the board and then give it a tempering, it is incredibly powerful. And if your opponent doesn't have the answer to it, they're probably just going to lose the round and pass. And you could just leave this card maybe down on the board, play a few nature cards, and just get that massive hand buff. I've had like an 11-point fave already, a 9-point fave, and I've only played 2 or 3 games with this list so far. So this card is bonkers good. I'm pretty sure it's an auto-include for Scioa'Tael at the moment. To talk you through some of the other cards, excuse me, because obviously I know it is a new expansion. We've got Shaping Nature, which is the Echo card for Scioa'Tael. You have 3 options with this card, but it's a nature card, so it's going to synergize with that Symbiosis tag. It's obviously going to buff Gord up. It's an Echo card, so you play it and it will come back the next round. And you have a choice of either boosting an allied unit by 6 and giving it a Veil, boosting an allied by 8, or giving an allied 8, boosting by 5 and giving 5 Vitality. So really flexible card. A really good target for this card, particularly on the Vitality, is the Harmer Dryad. This card is absolutely bonkers good in my opinion. It's 4 power, 5 provisions with that Symbiosis tag again. But if you give it Vitality, it's going to boost itself 1. And there's lots of ways of giving Vitality. Mainly, you have Dryad's Caress, which is a nature card, so it's already getting that synergy with the Symbiosis. It's already got that Purifier, and there's tons of Dryads in this deck as well. So you're always going to get 6 points pretty much, because you'll get the 3 buff plus the Vitality. Plus then it's obviously Symbiosis, which means it's 7 points if you've just got 1 Symbiosis, 8 points if you've got 2. But then if you give it to a Harmer Dryad and it sticks, that plays for 3 extra points. That plays for 9 points on a Hamadryad, not even including the Symbiosis and the fact it's buffing Gord as well. This card is crazy good, and obviously this card's just really flexible anyway because you can remove poison and things like that. So Dryad's Crest just becomes unreal in this deck. We've also got the classic Nature's Rebuke, which again, it's just become even better because of the amount of Trents you have. You very consistently will spawn the Death Blow, get the 2 points off the Death Blow. So it's a Thunder with 2 extra points attached, plus the Symbiosis for all the, the score. We've also then got Circle of Life. I love this card, and I'm pretty sure Circle of Life can be seen in the background of the best premium so far, Oak Critters. I'm pretty sure that's Circle of Life back there. You can see in the background. Not there, just there. So a nice little Easter egg there. What a premium this is. Munching on the finger. So Circle of Life is a nature card again. Damage an enemy unit by 3 and boost a random Scioa'Tael unit in your hand. But if you get the Death Blow, it's going to boost that Scioa'Tael unit in your hand. So, for example, you might boost Dunker, which might put her out of range, keeps her alive for the rest of the game. And then your opponent can try and damage Dunker because she's got a Zeal, she can't be locked or poisoned. They can try to damage her, and then you could just tempering her up, keep her alive, right, and just keep getting those points value. Because I think she's really, really busted good. I think she's crazy good. But also the Oak Critters on its own is just incredibly good. It is a Trent, so it can proc your Waters of Broccolon, as long as you've not played a Symbiosis card first and a Nature, because that will spawn a Trent, which will block your Broccolon buff. But we are playing Devotion, so it's getting both abilities. It's playing... it's giving bleeding 3, and it's spawning another version of it. So you're going to have 2 critters on the board for 4 points, plus a 3 bleed, 7 points. Potential, obviously, of some Waters of Broccolon synergy, and it also gives you Trent value off of your Nature's Rebuke as well. So just a brilliant card. Finally, just to talk about the last few cards, you've obviously got Call for the Forest, so pick whatever card you need. We're using Mystic Echo, so you might want another Waters of Broccolon potentially. More likely you're going to take a Call of the Forest, or potentially as well you might go for Isengrim's Council as well. But certainly Waters of Broccolon could be an option in some games. At worst, it's going to play for 10 points really, so it's really not a bad leader really to have at all. Forest Protector replaces Triss in the Symbiosis list. I really want to premium this card up, but I'm going to make sure I use my powder wisely. You're playing a Bronze Nature card from your graveyard, so it's basically working like Triss, as long as you've already played that card, but you know exactly what you're pulling. So for example, Dryad's Crest if you want it, Tempering if you need it, Circle of Life or Rebuke are your options off of it. Also important to note, it's a Trent as well, so you could play this on an open board with a Nature's Rebuke, and you're going to get the 2 points buff off it as well. So this is just a great card. We've got Figus, who is just a defender to sit behind. You could potentially kick this card in fairness, but it's just really nice for your Ethne to sit behind, for your Abandoned Girls to sit behind, and also potentially your Dunker as well. I think you may as well include Figus. If people start running Purifiers, this is probably the one card you could argue changing, but we don't have that many Dwarfs either, so I think the Defender just makes a lot of sense. It does a nice job. Isengrim's Council, it's a little bit awkward because I'm not using any Elves in this list at the moment, and that's definitely something you might want to try including. Certainly Sages make a ton of sense in this deck, but Isengrim's Council is hitting a random Dwarf, Dryad or Elf. So unfortunately we've got tons of Dryads. We've got, well, not tons, we've got the Hamadryads here, you've got Dunker, you've got Fave, you've got Forest Protector's Trent, so not that, but you've got Ethne as well. So normally you're going to be able to search for the cards you need, but obviously these Hamadryads might block what you're looking for. But then it's also going to show you an Elf, and it's also going to show you a Dwarf. So it gives you either Figus or Gord. So it's pretty good. It's also a decent target for Mystic Echo if there's like one card. For instance, when I was playing before, I knew it was hitting Ethne for me, so it's definitely worth including. And the final one to talk about, I think that's pretty much it, right? Should we just get into a game, man? Like, obviously a lot of new cards. Obviously, the deck's not refined because I've only played like a certain amount of games with it. But, mate, it is very, very strong. I'm sure you already saw at the start of the video the finisher I achieved in one game. Let's see how we get on. I am in Pro Ladder. I finished top 200 last season. The top 500 players stay in Pro Ladder. So we're playing against someone that finished in the top 500 on the ladder last season. And we're up against Nilfgaard, which I've not played up against any Nilfgaard spies yet. This is going to be a first for me. We will see how the deck performs. Obviously, I've got Ethne, who is going to evolve, though. We've got Dunker, who cannot be locked, could only be thundered. Tempering to buffer up should be nice, too. Wow, it's a really strong hand. There's not really anything I particularly want to kick. Maybe I just ditch a tempering. I think one tempering should be enough. And we hit the Dryad's Caress, which is going to be really nice on a Harmer Dryad. I think we might keep this hand. Temperings, then again, rather than tempering, I could just play Shaping Nature on Dunker, right, to keep her alive. And I could probably just ditch tempering, honestly. We hit Gord, which is less than ideal. He's not really what you're looking for. So I've obviously got the option to just destroy this straight away. Oh no, I don't. I could Fave, right? But Fave's most likely going to be for like a Waters of Broccolon or something of that nature. Let's just put Dunker down and see if she sticks. I doubt he's running Thunder, but you never know. Could obviously have an Assassination mixed in here as well. Obviously it's early days. I'm going to risk it and hope that he's not running that. Okay, so hits with the Crossbowman, and this is where your Shaping Nature's going to come in just brilliantly in round 1. Obviously a Tempering would do a great job for me, but this card's going to come back, right? So I've got a couple of options. Obviously I'm not going to give it a Veil because it's already got one. I could then boost it by 8, or I could boost it by 5 and give it Vitality. I think I'm just going to boost Dunker by 8. Yeah, that's the plan, because I might end up giving her more Vitality here. And this card, of course, is going to come back in a later round. It's also buffing up Gord. It also procs your Symbiosis if you've got access to any of that. So the hand buff is starting. Efne actually is probably a card I should have mulliganed in round 1, because this card's going to transform and will lose her hand buffs. Okay, my opponent does have Vincent, but at least Vincent's gone now, right? Vincent, obviously just a big counter to these sorts of decks. It is what it is, man. It's not ideal for us. I guess we could either play... I suppose we could play Fricks for a bit of hand buff. Let's do that.
Now and to bed yet another.
Alright, it's a Dryad. Okay, I was thinking he could buff Gord as well. Obviously not Efne because she's going to evolve. We'll just buff Fave, I guess. We'll take the hand buff. Could have maybe kept him because he's still a good card, but we actually get the pass out of my opponent here, which is pretty damn good. I think I'll just play... Go for the long round 3, I guess. It looks like it's probably not ideal how you want to play with this deck, but... We got Vincent out. I think it's more than fine. He's obviously gaining 1 point a turn here. I'm gaining 2 points here. I'm pretty sure Oak Critters is more than enough. Going to come down at 5 points. Plus 2 here is 7, which would put me at 25. You can see the value of the Harmer Dryad with just the Dryad's Caress is playing for 12 points with just those 2 cards, but we also got the Trent bonus. You can see obviously the Fricks giving us a bit of carryover as well. Obviously we're playing against Nilfgaard that does have an answer to that Veiled unit. Most factions do not have that. And we get Shaping Nature back as well, so we really didn't invest much. Of course I am pretty much forced into passing this round here. Unfortunately I didn't make use of my Circle of Life cards either for some more hand buff. So probably not the best example of a game you're looking for. Obviously, my Dunker just got countered very badly, right? So we go for a long round 3. We'll see what happens. Left with little choice, really, after my opponent's pass. We have, of course, got Efne now coming in as the final evolve form. Got Harmer Dryad and Oak Critters. What are we looking for still? We've got Cool or Waters. Biggest would be good. We would like to see one of those nature cards. I think Temperings can go. This can definitely go. This is more of a round 1 and 2 card. The Circle of Life, which we did not find, unfortunately. So I'm pretty sure we're just going to sack Waters of Broccolon off and we'll just play Call for the Forest. But then again, Isengrim's Cancer is going to hit Figus, right? So I could Waters of Broccolon. The question is, does my opponent run Igni? Probably not, right? So we could just go for the classic Harmony play of double Waters. Now, the thing that the Dryad messes up is it plays a Trent down on the board, which would block 4 points, potentially. So I think I am going to play it like this.
They won't let us talk to strangers.
It's a little bit controversial. I'm going to call my Waters in straight away, Because basically, Ethne, her symbiosis will block... Oh god, Hefty Helg. That's not what you want to see. Hefty Helg on patch day. This guy knows how to have fun, eh? This guy knows how to have fun. So let's just Keko here. Obviously, we've got to stack it in the same row now. We play straight into Igni. And we can cancel now. So I've just played 3 nature cards with no symbiosis proc. And that's unfortunate because this can just sort of mess you up quite a bit by the fact that we want our Trents.
You'll give your lives for the Empire with no hesitation.
My first time playing against this. I think let's bleed the Hefty Helg because then I can just get through it with a Thunder. Oh, this didn't even proc after all that. It didn't even proc because Harmony's row limited. Oh, I've had a stinker, lad. So obviously you need to play Harmony in the same row for it to even go off. I should have just led with Ethne. As you can see, I'm still learning quite significantly. It's like my 3rd game with this deck. But as you can tell, it's very strong, right? You can definitely see the power it has. We just drew all our good gold cards, right? So the Abandoned Girl would just come in for so many points. If I played these in the right row, we would have been looking alright. But alas, it is what it is. What can you do? I'd expect him to buff this up, otherwise he's had a stinker. Okay, we get Helg, which is really good for us. Obviously, I've still got no Symbiosis cards down, but that's just my own fault. We're going for the Waters of Broccolon proc over Symbiosis. It was definitely correct to just go for the Symbiosis, right? And just accept that my Waters wasn't going to be that good here. Really, this is the card you're looking for to get value off your Waters. And I don't think normally you're going to go for double Waters, but it's still playing for 12 points each one, right? So it's really not bad at all. So Urcheon is just boosting a random unit. Usurper can seize these back when he wants. 3, 6, 8. So unfortunately this is blocking me playing. I guess we just play this here first. Get the little Symbiosis rock in. And we will get Ethne down. Definitely didn't get as much value off of her as I should have. We should have just led with her, right? I should have maybe played Defender first then. I could have even just gone Waters, Ethne, then second. I don't know. I think we can just play Ethne now. It's tempting to obviously tempering this, but it just takes away my value. On my Forest Protector, I've got all the bronze options, so Caress, Nature's Rebuke, or Tempering once I've played it.
I acknowledge neither your maps nor your borders.
Nice. I think I need to premium Ethne up because I'm expecting to use her probably most out of the evolving cards. I just think Scioa'Tael lends itself so nicely to Devotion. This card's really good as well, as you saw in that round 1. Even though he had the answer, my opponent didn't have the answer. We would have just had insane carryover for round 3, right? We still got a couple of points carryover. 3 points carryover, in fact. Also, if you play into round 2 a bit more, you would obviously get a bigger Gourd. I actually had a 16-point Gourd earlier, I think. We didn't play Call of the Forest here. We missed quite a lot of my special cards as well. This is obviously a bit stupid. I've let this get out of hand, but it is what it is. We're looking pretty good. So one of my young Dryads dies, unfortunately. Rest in peace. Let us do this. I'm going to use the Vitality on the Harma Dryad, because this gets an extra point of buff whenever it's got Vitality. So it's playing for an insane amount of points, really. It played for 5 boosts and essentially 10 more points. It played for 15 points with the Symbiosis, making it 18 points, and a point for Gourd, making it 19 points. And I played that card twice. Pretty nuts. I actually played for 20 points altogether, but I also played it twice because it buffed Gourd twice, right, the 2 times I played it. If we get full value off it, which obviously round 1 we did not, because he Vincented us, but This means you can't Vincent my Figus, right? Obviously, I'd like to try and keep Figus alive to deny poison here as well. But it's also important to remember that this purifies and would remove poison. Just think this Scioa'Tael deck's super flexible, man, and a lot of points all over the gaff. Okay, so we're only 6 points ahead. Royal Decrees here. But an awful lot of nothing. The Young Dryad does get answered. We will Tempering up here. Still got a little bit of Symbiosis off Efne herself and off the Harma Dryad. Obviously missing the Abandoned Girls for more. And that the hand buffs could have been nice to see as well.
Come on, stalkers. We ride.
So my best value card is going to be a 5 ping, I guess, because it buffs a Trent up by 2. I ping this for 5, goes for 6 points, right? And then we've got a Gord. A small Gord only at 13 points. I've had much bigger recently, right? Lambert comes in. For not enough points. So we beat the Spires deck. Despite the Vincent in round 1. Despite it could have been a lot better. You can see the power of the deck, man. Yeah, I will be obviously uploading more games with this deck and things similar to it. But if you enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel, man, and give the video a like. Why not? I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be posting loads more gameplay of different decks, and I can post more on this one if you'd like me to. Get me out on Twitch as well, where I'm streaming Gwent every day.